Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and today we gotta talk about the latest addition to the Central Park 5 hoax, which is a lawsuit that they filed in federal court in Philadelphia due to comments that the evil orange man made during the debate with Vice President Kamala Harris, because they're alleging that he defamed them and they're innocent baby angels that didn't do nothing wrong, despite the fact that they are on video admitting to what they did wrong and all the other overwhelming evidence of their guilt. So today we're going to talk about this lawsuit, we're going to go over it, and then maybe, just maybe, you guys are going to get what you've always wanted from me for a very long time, which is a video series going over their case and proving beyond any shadow of a doubt that they did in fact do this, they are in fact guilty, and yes, I have the facts and the evidence to support that. But before we get into that, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
I also want to remind you that on Wednesday, October 23rd, I will be live in person in Soho, which is downtown Manhattan, debating Joshua Eagle on whether or not libertarians should vote for Kamala Harris for president. Yes, that is the position that he's actually taking. Registration is free. Link in the top of the description. Come out, show up, have a great time, meet me. I'd love to see you. So right off the top, I want to point out that this is obviously, from the jump, lawfare, an attack on freedom of speech, and a political stunt, because President Donald Trump is allowed to hold the opinion that the Central Park 5 are guilty, especially when the facts actually support that, despite what you may have heard about the case. But the lawsuit alleges a couple of different points where the evil orange man supposedly defamed them, and I'd like to go through them point by point, but let's first hear the statement that the evil orange man said, so you could see what is supposedly very damaging defamation.
Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young Black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5.
They're destroying our country, and they come up with things like what she just said. Going back many, many years, when a lot of people, including Mayor Bloomberg, agreed with me on the Central Park 5, they admitted, they said, they pled guilty. And I said, well, if they pled guilty, they'd badly hurt a person, killed a person ultimately. And if they pled guilty, then they pled, we're not guilty.
So a couple of things. One, the woman did not die, which the evil orange man says, oh, well, she might as well have been or whatever. But let me be clear about this. She is alive to this day. If anybody was going to have a case for defamation, it would be Trisha Miley, who could say, no, I'm not dead. I'm actually alive. What are you even talking about? But the fact of the matter is, being wrong about facts without malice does not make you guilty of defamation. Secondly, there is something that is in dispute from this statement, which is the evil orange man saying that they pled guilty to this crime. And this is actually makes the defamation lawsuit.
They admitted, they said, they pled guilty. And I said, well, if they pled guilty, they'd badly hurt a person, killed a person ultimately. And if they pled guilty, then they pled, we're not guilty.
So when we go to the civil action complaint, it says this case involves false and defamatory statements made by defendant Donald J. Trump during the presidential debate that took place on September 10th, 2024 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. During the debate, defendant Trump made several statements concerning the Central Park 5. The Central Park 5, now known as the exonerated 5, no freaking way they are the Central Park 5, are 5 individuals who as teenagers were not wrongfully convicted, despite what this says, of a series of assaults that occurred in Central Park in New York City on April 19th, 1989. The Central Park 5, or exonerated 5, is comprised of plaintiffs Yusuf Salaam, Raymond Santana, Kevin Richardson, Antron Brown, and Corey Wise. Plaintiffs were wrongfully convicted of crimes they did not commit when they were between 14 and 16 years old and spent formative years of their lives in prison. In 2002, based on newly discovered DNA evidence and the confession of the true perpetrator, plaintiffs were exonerated. Plaintiffs have spent the last 2 decades attempting to rebuild their lives. At the September 10th, 2024 presidential debate, defendant Trump falsely stated that the plaintiffs killed an individual and pled guilty to the crime. These statements are demonstrably false. Plaintiffs never pled guilty to any crime and were subsequently cleared of all wrongdoing. Further, the victims of the Central Park assaults were not killed. Plaintiffs have suffered injuries as a result of defendant Trump's false and defamatory statements and will bring this lawsuit to obtain redress. So right off the top, obviously Trisha Miley did not die during the course of the assault. She was beaten severely and nearly died due to the actions of the Central Park Five and others on that fateful night. But the fact of the matter is that she is alive. However, they immediately run into issues when they say that nobody pled guilty to any of these crimes or these assaults, because that is factually untrue. Stephen Lopez, often referred to as the sixth member of the Central Park Five, did in fact plead guilty to an assault of John Laughlin, who was another person referenced in this lawsuit, by the way, in the group of assaults that were committed by the Central Park Five that evening. One of the things that people tend to get wrong about this case is the fact that there wasn't just one assault, the assault of the female jogger. There were in fact multiple assaults that night that the Central Park Five are tied to, and nobody has yet been able to explain to me how Mateus Reyes' DNA as a contributing member to this assault somehow clears them of the Trisha Miley assault, let alone all the other additional assaults like the one of John Laughlin, who Stephen Lopez pled guilty to assaulting, who, by the way, also had his conviction overturned recently. Based on what? Mateus Reyes' DNA somehow clears him of an assault on a completely different male jogger on the same night? Makes no sense at all, is ridiculous and absurd in every way. Now, the next out and out lie in this particular story right here is this idea that in 2002, there was newly discovered DNA evidence that ended up leading to their exonerations. The fact of the matter is, this is just not true. During the original trial, they had this DNA. During the original trial, they knew that this DNA did not match any of the defendants that they had caught so far. And in fact, in the closing statements of the original trial, they said that there are additional perpetrators that have yet to be discovered in this particular case.
She says that these boys, were not charged with rape. They were charged with acting in concert, and the jury was informed that she was attacked by several people and that the people that attacked her and raped her got away.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
When Elizabeth Lederer gave her her summation, and when we tested the DNA, and by the way, all of their lawyers fought against us testing the DNA, which was in its infancy at the time, it came back to someone who was not apprehended, which is not uncommon. You had a gang rape. You don't get everybody. I saw 30 kids there, at least. A large number of them got away. We did not get everybody. We knew we didn't get everybody. Elizabeth Lederer told the jury, told the judge, the defense, the public, that we have DNA from an unknown suspect, somebody that participated in this rape, got away.
So right here on page 2 of their lawsuit, they have an absolute objective lie about DNA and when it was discovered, and a lie that makes absolutely no sense if you just think about it for more than 5 seconds, because of course they had to discover this at the time, because it was 1989, this assault occurred in Central Park, and obviously they would have had to have collected evidence from the time and known of its existence. The fact that it didn't match the boys had nothing to do with anything. This was not a case built on DNA. This was a case built on the fact that the boys and additional people in their large group of 30 tied them to the scene of not just this crime, but other additional crimes. Now look, I've resisted for years doing a deep dive into this particular case, and the reason for that is because friend of the channel, Devin Tracy, who hosts the show Atheism is Unstoppable, which is now on Censor TV, use promo code AIU for a discount and to support him, had done an excellent job breaking down this case in his own right, and I didn't want to step on his toes while he was producing that series. That being said, since this case keeps coming up over and over and over again, I think it is finally time for me to get into it, for me to break down this case, because there are lies on top of lies, even in this complaint, that are absurd in every possible way. One of the most obvious lies, and by the way, it's actually contradicted in the very complaint itself, is this idea that the boys were interrogated and forced to do written and videotaped confessions without the presence of their parents, when in reality, that's just not true. All of these interrogations are available online. You can watch them for yourself. I will link them in the description of this video, and at the beginning of each and every one of these interrogations, guess what? The parents are there. That's the first thing they do, is acknowledge that they're there, that the boys have been fed, and all of that.
Before I go any further, I just want to say There is another gentleman here in the room, the man over here. Who is that man?
Paul.
Okay, what is your name?
Kevin Mitchell.
And, sir, could you please just state your name and address?
Paul L. Richardson.
And are you Kevin Richardson's father?
Yes, I am.
Before I ask you about what happened, let me just ask, sir, could you please give your name?
My name is Raymond Bernard.
And what is your relation to this young man here? Your father? Also present are, I believe, your parents. Could you each please state your full name?
My name is Linda McCray.
Bob McCray.
And, ma'am, what is your relation?
I'm his mother.
And, okay. Before I begin, let me just say also in the room are two people sitting over here. Do you know who those people are?
Yes, sir.
And who are they?
My mother and my father.
Okay. What is your name, please?
Magdalena Lopez.
And what is your name?
Edelmiro Lopez.
Okay. What is your relation to?
I'm the father.
And, okay. There's also a woman seated next to you on your left who's present in the room. Do you know who that woman is? Okay. What's her name?
Noreen Reed.
Ma'am, would you please state your name and address for the record?
My name is Noreen Reed.
Is Lamont McCall your son?
Yes, he is.
All right. Who is that woman?
My mother,
And what is her name?
Jacqueline Johannes.
Great. Ma'am, could you please state your name and address?
Jacqueline Johannes.
And are you related to the gentleman to your right?
Yes, he's my son.
On top of that, it actually says that Yusuf Salam's mother, who again, they just claimed wasn't there, actually intervened and didn't allow him to do a written and/or videotape confession for the police because she didn't think that was a good idea. So these guys are claiming that their parents weren't there when on video they were in fact there. The NYPD followed all the procedures. Multiple investigations have discovered that. But at the same time, they're saying that Yusuf's mom, who wasn't there, somehow intervened and stopped the videotape confession. Just think about the inconsistency in that. On top of that, when you look at the videos for yourself, which again is one of the things that I'll recommend that you guys do as I'm making the series to break this whole thing down for you guys, what you'll find out is that all of the tactics and hallmarks of a coerced confession are not present there. None of them are actually, and one of the reasons why you know that is because a bunch of these kids don't really ever admit to the actual main crime. They admit to things around the crime and they implicate each other.
What did the lady jogger look like?
She was short. She had short hair. She had gray shorts. With, black biking pants.
Did she have a shirt on?
A white tank top. So they started chasing her. Like, they was running. Nobody was around.
Nobody was around. No other people besides the lady jogger.
Yes.
So who started running?
It was Antron, Raymond, and Steve in front.
Okay. And you ran?
Yes. Because everybody was running. And then, like, they caught her and, like put her shirt off. And,
okay. Who caught her first?
Antron.
And
Steve and Raymond's like beside them.
When they caught her, what did they do to her? Did they grab her? What did they do?
Like they pushed her down. Somebody was pushing her down. They grabbed her shirt. And she fell.
She fell?
Yes.
And who was grabbing her shirt?
It was Antron. Everybody surrounded her. So they started like taking her bra off.
Okay, did somebody take her shirt off first?
Yes.
Who took her shirt off?
Raymond took her shirt off.
And was she wearing a bra?
Yes.
And did somebody take her bra off?
Yes.
Did they take it off or did they pull it up or what did they do?
Just ripped it off.
Was she screaming? What was she saying?
It's like saying stop, yelling help. So I was running saying like I shouldn't. I said don't do that to her. I didn't do it.
Was somebody taking her pants off?
Yes.
Who was doing that?
Antron.
in addition to that, this lawsuit claims that they had all this contradictory testimony. That's not really true. Sure, you had some of the kids not placing themselves as primary actors when they spoke, but you had multiple of the 5, and again, the additional people that were in the mob of people that were attacking others that night saying the same thing. Now, another reason why you know this coerced confession narrative is total nonsense is Corey Wise himself, because he actually has 2 interviews videotaped with the police. And remember, supposedly they kept them up all night, they interrogated them for hours, and they forced them into confessions. But Corey Wise's first interview, he denies all of the major things. In fact, he lies his ass off, according to himself, in his second interview. And by the way, unlike the other ones, Corey Wise was actually age 16, and back in 1989, you could question a 16-year-old without the presence of their parent and or guardian. So in this particular case, you have a guy, age 16, totally exempt from some of the additional protections that the other people have, and he still denies everything initially and then comes back on his own accord in order to tell the truth.
What I did was different from them. The only people that did it different was me and Yusuf and Kevin did what they were doing. Me and Yusuf was just playing with her.
Did you play with her breasts?
Huh? Yusuf played with the breast.
Did you?
No. I didn't go up to the breast or nothing. I stayed on the leg. They told me to pull out her pants and pulled out her pants. So Steve got off of her. Steve said I was a chump. Steve called me a punk because I didn't do it. They hold her down. Steve ripped her pants with his knife. That's what made her mad. And that's when she started scratching him. What's her name? Kevin. She was yelling pretty loud. Used to close her mouth. They had bigger heads than us. Close her mouth. So we were looking at her, and I felt kind of bad. This is my first extreme I did to any type of female in the street. This is my first rape. I never did this before. This will be my last time doing it. This is my first experience.
One of the reasons why we know that Yusuf Salam was a primary instigator and initiator of violence is because multiple kids in this group of 30, even kids that didn't know his name, repeatedly described Yusuf, or the 6'3" black kid with the high top fade, swinging a lead pipe at victims that night, again for the additional assaults. So yeah, I will do a larger breakdown of this. I have to organize it and all of that, but it's important for you guys to understand that even if these guys were completely innocent, which they're definitely not, it's not defamation for you to believe that they are in fact guilty. On top of that, they were actually convicted. Think about O.J. Simpson, who was found not guilty on the murder charges, and all the different various people who call him a murderer on television, despite the fact that he was initially acquitted, unlike these individuals who were initially convicted. And in fact, only one judge who reviewed their case decades later decided that he was going to throw out the verdict with a vacation of conviction. And the thing is, the city of New York could have appealed that, but they just chose not to do so. So it's not defamation at all whatsoever, or even crazy or out of bounds for you to believe the Central Park 5 in their own words at the time, believe the additional kids that were with them that had no reason to lie about them in their own words at the time, to believe the multiple jury trials because they weren't all tried at the same time and in the same court proceedings, and believe Stephen Lopez's confession, his guilty plea at trial to the crimes that he was ultimately convicted of. But yeah, this is where we're at in the United States of America. These guilty individuals who have gotten a huge payday due to politically correct reasons that are absolutely disastrous are now churning around and expanding the hoax even further and suing a presidential candidate for comments that he made during a heated presidential debate, and it's ridiculous in every possible way. Now, of course, I want to know what you guys think about this down in the comments below. Are you interested in the Central Park Park 5 series if I am to produce it, or do you want me to leave it alone and never talk about it again? Again, let me know in your comments, let me know in your viewership of this video, because this will be partially determinative of how much I want to get into this. Now, of course, if you like the video shown by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the Central Park 5 hoax expanding. Till next time.